Hello, men and women. Hello. Today's a good day. Today's a really good day. I am blessed with great friends, great colleagues, and just happy with how things are turning out. I had some thoughts on what I would speak to today, and the thought that I want to speak to, actually some of the ideas and beliefs that I want to speak to are around our core beliefs, and even deeper than that, our master template as men. And part of the master template that involves our men, that involves the men that we are, involves our fathers. It involves our dads. And whether or not you can agree on what that looks like for you, your dad, your father taught you everything you knew and everything you know. Don't believe me? Just listen. Whether your dad was present in your life or not, you learned. You learned what he was capable of giving you. You learned that he was either capable of giving you exactly what you needed, or he wasn't. And if you had to backfill that for yourself, congratulations. He taught you that too. Because through and throughout, if it's something that hurt you, didn't feel right, felt awkward, or put you in your place, because sometimes dads do that too. Sometimes dads aren't even around. And if they're not around, does that have anything to do with you? Sometimes it does. But we got to think about that. I had a number of conversations in my own head, and one of them was the healing of my own dad. And I've done a lot of this. Lately, because if I'm going to become a dad, or if I'm going to be the dad, then I've got to be able to be good with a lot of the things that I endured as a son. And some of the things that I was never aware of were never my business anyway. But the ones that I was able to piece together, that's okay. That's where I was. What am I talking about? Well, something that I talked about in one of my other videos was harboring resentment. And harboring resentment does two things. It puts pain in your body, and it's also something that creates anger. It creates an angry liver. It creates an angry inflammation in your body, thus creating more pain. So it might sound like the same thing, but there are two different interactions that happen there. I harbored resentment towards my dad because I felt like I didn't get out to enough fishing trips. And I always wondered why. Why couldn't you take me out more fishing, Dad? More. Why couldn't we go to those lakes? Why couldn't we take my brother and go? Why couldn't you ever play hockey with me? Why couldn't you come out for more than 10 minutes at a time, even with that bad back you said you had, and play hockey? Why couldn't you come to the beach with my brother and I and play with us? Or why did you scold me in those moments where I knew not of even why, or it made sense to me? Here's the thing. Those are all in quotations. Those are some of many things that I have come to terms with over the years. And what I came down to was this. My dad, as every dad does, has his own stuff. He has his own stuff that he kicks himself with on the inside of his body. He ruminates. He had issues with his dad too. That shows up. That shows up in his own anger and resentment. he also was the breadwinner of the family. He brought home most of the money until my mother got to a point where she brought home that as well, until they were equals that way. And that also took time away from us as a family, but that was something he needed to do. It put a roof over our heads, it put supper on the table, it got us into swimming lessons, it got us doing things in town where we could have festivals to go to, exhibitions to attend. We could buy special Oreo summer cookies on weekends. You know the ones I'm talking about. And that's what the contribution that he made to our family was like. And there are many moments that I have of reflection when it comes upon that as his son. But here's what I know. My dad was a hardworking man. We used to joke around because his fingers were like sausages. They were so big, but he worked hard. He worked, when he put his mind to it, he still does. He's still a workhorse. When he puts his mind to something, he works hard at it. And that's his thing. As do I. That is a great trait that got passed along. I'm getting to the point of, the point that I'm getting to with this is that my dad did everything in his capacity to make sure that his boys were looked after. And that he did everything to the best that he could with what he knew how to do. And as soon as I got to that within myself, I was able to forgive. But how did I get there? When I was at my rock bottom and my low point, after separating from my ex-wife, I had no idea who I was as a man. I did, but I didn't. My confidence was shaken. And I also knew that I had to show up for my daughter. And I did absolutely everything, fought tooth and nail, every way that I could to make sure that I got time and quality time in with her. And the proof is in the pudding. I began to, as I figured out that I was doing the best that I can with what I knew how to do, started to feel like I understood what my dad had done for me. And even in the moments where I was really angry about it, and even in the moments when he wasn't present, where he was at work or he was doing his own thing, where I felt I needed him as a son, I made peace with that. Because in those absent moments, it forced me to become a better version of myself. It showed me what he couldn't do for me and that I needed to do for myself. I needed to take responsibility for me, not him. I needed to do that. And that brought me to present day. Because without knowing those things, I wouldn't be able to deliver this message in a fashion where I could convey to you what that meant to me and what that means and what that should means. So guys, your master template for you is crafted finely, very finely by your dad. Regardless if he was there in the picture or not, it told you exactly who you were, how you showed up, and even to the best of your ability. Or the best, it showed you how to become that. And that is a beautiful life lesson. That is a beautiful way to see yourself, because you let go of resentment at that point. You start to understand and appreciate what that does for you. You start to show up as a man. And we show up as a man. What do we have? We have a duty to our family, but not only to our family, but ourselves, to show up better, to show up to the best we can, to do the absolute best we can. Even when we feel like we're not, we are. To show up for our wives, to show up for our friends, and to show up for our colleagues in our professional environment where we work. That is a huge part of your master template. So here's to you. Here's to you guys. Here's to you. Here's to you men out there. I'm proud of you. You got to this point. You got to this point. Then here's what you got to do. Keep showing up for you. Because when you keep showing up for you, you show up for everyone else around you. And they see it, and it helps them understand what that means to them. You give them a barometer. It's a way to measure their own responsibilities, what their own template looks like to them, and how they show up for themselves. What a beautiful message. So here's to you guys. I am proud of you. And if you still feel like after this message, and even after you've heard it, like you don't understand or you feel like you're triggered a little bit, why don't you give me a call? I'd be happy to talk about it with you. Or why don't you give me a call and vent? I'll listen. I'll listen to it. I'll listen to you talk. I'll hear you. TheValiantLifestyle.com. Valiant Wellness. Jesse will listen to you. Call me. I would love to be able to hear you so that you could understand a bit more about who you are. I will leave it there. Take care. Let's do this. Talk to you soon.